Imagine, if you will, a woman in the prime of her life expecting her first child. Yet something is amiss. In the glow of her expectant motherhood, our protagonist finds herself haunted. Not by the usual anxieties that come with impending parenthood, but by something far more sinister. She's a woman who, in the midst of preparing to welcome new life, is instead visited by the spectral image of a child. A ghostly apparition that sends shivers down her spine and leaves her questioning her own grasp on reality. This is no ordinary child, but a specter, a phantom from the beyond. It appears to her in the quietest moments when the world around her is asleep. In the shadowy corners of her bedroom, in the soft glow of the moonlight, it comes to her. Its voice, a chilling whisper that echoes in her ears long after it has faded. Its message, a revelation that freezes her blood and shakes her to her very core. The child tells her a truth that she is unprepared to hear, a truth that contradicts every joyful expectation of motherhood she's ever held. It tells her that the baby growing inside her, the baby she has nurtured and loved before it has even taken its first breath, is not hers. Instead, it claims that her unborn child belongs to another, an entity from the shadows, a presence from the underworld, a demonic force. The words hang in the air long after the ghostly child disappears, leaving a chilling silence in its wake. Our protagonist is left alone, her heart pounding in her chest, her mind reeling from the revelation. She's a woman on the edge, teetering between the joy of expectant motherhood and the terror of an unknown, sinister force. The ghostly child disappears, leaving the woman in a state of shock and terror, questioning her own sanity. As the first chapter of our tale concludes, we are left wondering, what will our protagonist do next? Will she succumb to the terror, or will she find the strength to uncover the truth behind her haunting predicament? We'll have to wait and see. In her quest to understand her unique predicament, she begins to investigate. What would any of us do if faced with such a chilling revelation? Like most of us, she turns to the well of knowledge and wisdom that has guided humanity for centuries, our shared history and collective wisdom. She immerses herself in ancient texts, religious scriptures, and folklore, seeking to unravel the mysteries of her visions. She begins to delve into the dusty annals of mythology, where she stumbles upon tales as old as time itself. Stories of demonic entities taking human form, of spirits meddling in the affairs of mortals, of the thin veil that separates our world from the unknown. The more she reads, the more she realizes that her situation, however bizarre, is not unique. In her pursuit of truth, she doesn't limit herself to the written word. She seeks out spiritual leaders, those who have dedicated their lives to understanding the mysteries of the universe. She consults paranormal experts, individuals who walk the line between science and the supernatural, who can offer a perspective that's grounded in research and investigation. But with each conversation, with every page turned, she finds herself drawn deeper into a labyrinth of uncertainty. Every story she uncovers, every theory proposed, only seems to add more layers to the enigma. The reassuring boundaries of reality begin to blur, and her nightmares seep into her waking hours. She finds herself standing at the crossroads of belief and disbelief, of the natural and the supernatural. She's confronted with a daunting reality, that her child, her unborn baby, might not be entirely hers. The implications are overwhelming, the possibilities terrifying. The labyrinth of ancient myths and modern theories leaves her with more questions than answers. She's left to grapple with the uncertainty, the fear, and the chilling possibility that her visions might be more than just figments of her imagination. She's left with more questions than answers. The line between reality and nightmare blurs. As her pregnancy progresses, so do the visions. They become more vivid, more real. A sinister chill runs through our tale as our expectant mother finds herself plunged deeper into a nightmare that blurs reality and her worst fears. Each vision now seems to claw at her sanity, each one more terrifying than the last. Imagine, if you will, the terror that grips her as these visions intensify. The ghostly child that once appeared innocent now reveals a more malevolent presence. Its once soft, cherubic features warp and twist into a grotesque mockery of its former self. Its eyes, once filled with childlike innocence, now burn with an unholy light, glowing with an eerie, demonic intensity. Its voice, once soft and whispery, now echoes with a chilling resonance, its words branding themselves onto her very soul. In one particularly harrowing vision, the ghostly apparition sheds its deceptive facade completely. It stands before her in its true form, a monstrous entity, a thing of nightmares. It confirms her worst fears, its voice a guttural growl that reverberates in the hollows of her mind. "The child you carry," it hisses, "is not of your blood, it is of mine." The revelation strikes her like a bolt of lightning, the words echoing in her mind, a terrifying confirmation of her deepest, darkest fears. She is left reeling, her world spinning out of control. The joy of expecting new life is now replaced with a dread so profound it threatens to consume her. She is left grappling with a reality she never dreamed possible, a reality so far removed from the beautiful journey of motherhood she had envisioned. The child she carries within her, the child she had already begun to love, is not hers, but rather it is a spawn of darkness, a child of an entity so sinister, so malevolent, it sends shivers down the spine of even the bravest. The woman is left with a terrifying truth. She is carrying a child of darkness. This chilling confirmation sets the stage for a confrontation that will test her very will to survive. From the ashes of her shattered dreams, she must now find the strength to face the unimaginable. Armed with the haunting truth, she decides to confront the demonic entity. As the woman steps into the chilling realm of her visions, she is a picture of stark contrast, a figure of life and birth, standing against the backdrop of spectral gloom. The fear that grips her is palpable, yet there's a fire in her eyes that speaks of an unyielding resolve. She isn't just fighting for herself, she's fighting for the innocent life that stirs within her. She calls out into the abyss, her voice echoing through the silence. "Why me?" she demands, her words carrying the weight of her fear, her confusion, her anger. She is met with an eerie silence before the entity finally emerges. Its form is unsettling as the words it begins to speak. The demon, a cruel smirk etching its spectral face, reveals its sinister plan. It chose her not at random, but for her strength, her resilience, her capacity to endure. It needed a vessel strong enough to carry its progeny, a mother capable of nurturing a creature of the underworld. The revelation sends a shiver down her spine, but she doesn't falter. She stands her ground, the gravity of her situation sinking in. The entity tells her of a prophecy, of a child born of both worlds, destined to bring about an age of darkness. It tells her of the power this child will wield, of the chaos it will sow. It paints a portrait of a future filled with despair and destruction, a world on the brink of collapse. As the entity's words hang heavy in the air, the woman is left reeling. She's filled with a sense of dread, a terror that goes beyond her personal plight. She's carrying not just her child, but the harbinger of a nightmarish future. She feels the weight of the world on her shoulders, the burden of a destiny she never asked for. She now knows the horrifying destiny that awaits her and her unborn child. Cornered, she forms a last-ditch frantic strategy. Facing this demonic presence, the woman understands that her sole chance of survival is rooted in her own being. The threat encompasses not only herself, but also the innocent existence blooming within her. The risk is extreme. her determination solidifies. This is not a conflict that can be waged with brute force. Instead, she is to rely on her inner might, her affection for her unborn child, and her unwavering defensive spirit. She recognizes the unprecedented darkness she is about to encounter, yet she also understands she cannot retreat. When her child's life is at, she commences gathering her bravery as if it were a physical entity, cloaking herself with it as a shield, readying herself for the imminent battle. She inhales profoundly, sourcing power from the surrounding air, strengthening her spirit for the looming face-off. Her entire existence is focused single-mindedly on one aspect: the safety of her child. She is aware of the entity's immense power that she's about to confront, but she also understands that a mother's love is the universe's most potent force. She will not let her child suffer at the demon's hands. She will combat with all the strength she holds. She girds herself, prepared to endure any nightmare the entity might hurl at her. Her heart throbs in her chest, rhythmic and resolute, echoing her determination. She is prepared. She is courageous. She is resilient. She is a mother. The scene concludes on this intense note, leaving us anticipating in suspense. Will she triumph? Will she manage to rescue her child from demonic entity's grasp? In an intense, bloody climax, she takes on the demonic entity. A contest of wills follows. With a final desperate expression of love, she manages to expel the entity, rescuing her child, but at a tremendous personal expense. Faced with unimaginable terror, she stood resolute, ultimately victorious. However, the battle's scars will forever leave a mark on her.